Welcome to The Clean Truth, where we like to call bullshit on the status quo. I'd like to take a second to thank our official, unofficial sponsor, Monster Energy and Rain. Brett Bauer, a regional account manager, was a fan of the show. She started sending us products and has kept us well caffeinated here at CEHQ ever since. Brett, thank you for everything that you do for us here at Clean Eats, and thank you for supporting The Clean Truth. Oh, you came back. And now you want me to tell you what you missed on last week's episode? No chance. Go download it and listen for yourself. As for this week, we had Paul Eric from Black Rifle Coffee Company on to talk coffee. The guys at Black Rifle Coffee are some awesome dudes with amazing initiatives and give back to military and first responders all the time. They're awesome dudes. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And what are you waiting for? Go subscribe so I can stop badgering you about it. All right, well, before we dive in too deep here, we got to do our weekly ball busting. Last week I turned it on to myself with Hannah here. I'm going to do it again because I forgot it was fucking St. Patrick's Day.
And you're that guy not wearing green.
I didn't even realize it until we walked in the office and everybody's wearing fucking green. And I'm like, I'm in all black with red shoes on and it's St. Patrick's Day. So, but I'm not Irish, so I really don't give a shit. But
I like it.
It only counts if you're Irish.
At least it's not at me and Scott today. I'm pretty excited about that.
It hasn't been me in a while. It's pretty good.
Our weekly clean truth this week. This is a good one. Maybe a little rough around the edges. When will COVID restrictions end nationwide, do you think? I've been saying, like, end of May. I mean, it'll all be done. I don't think any states will have a lot of restrictions by the end of May.
But hopefully by July 4th, we'll all be able to gather together. So
if you do what you're supposed to.
If you do what you're supposed to.
Yeah, we get a tiny barbecue, right? I've been all over the country, guys, during the entire pandemic. I've been in so many different big metropolitan areas. If I had to guess, I don't think this ends anywhere before August. In the bigger cities, you just still see people that are so terrified. They're just taking the wrong news sources and they're so scared. Just today on the airplane, there was a family with double masks and the splash shield, which I really don't understand. But
I like how you refer to it as the splash shield.
Yeah.
It's like I don't get it.
I think we talked about this on one of the episodes a while back. The craziest shit I've seen in an airport since we've been doing this was the lady. She was in Atlanta's airport, and she was in a full-on biohazard suit, and her luggage was wrapped in saran wrap. Full-on biohazard. Yeah, I swear. Full-on biohazard, whole 9 yards. Nothing was exposed, and her luggage was wrapped with saran wrap.
Super aggressive.
Now, do you think that she follows proper protocols when taking that off?
Who the hell knows? I'm doubting. How can you?
Probably reuses it. So.
Yeah, like what does she do when she gets home? What does she do when she gets in the car? Like the whole idea of those biosuits is you don't take it from the room you're in out of the room.
Right.
And then when you get would she get home and strip down in the doorway, stuff it in a plastic bag? What's? I guarantee she doesn't. It makes no sense.
100%.
Nice. I don't know, man. All right, guys, today on today's show, we have Paul Eric from Black Rifle Coffee. Thank you, man, for coming on. Thanks for the time. I know you're a busy dude traveling around. You just said you just got off the airport for traveling for 12 days?
Yeah, literally like 45 minutes ago got off an airplane. But I'm stoked to be on. Thank you, guys. I've been looking forward to this.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to warn you, Paul. Sometimes on the show, we drink bourbon, and I have a glass of bourbon, and so is Ben sitting in front of me. So, cheers.
Well, cheers. I have a cup of tea. So, cheers,
there
guys.
5 o'clock somewhere.
So, I guess, man, the purpose of today's show is to talk about Black Rifle Coffee, and for, I guess, you, if you want to do it, give us a little history lesson on some coffee, man. I mean, that's the topic, is let's talk some coffee. I love coffee. I drink more than my fair share of cup of coffee the only one that in the room that has me beat is Scott. Scott drinks coffee every hour on the hour.
It's like my water.
No, that's cool, man. What is it? 98% water. So that's a good beverage.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee, the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Wow. A lot has happened here over the last few years. I'm actually sitting in the Salt Lake City office right now. Ground zero, if you will. This place is phenomenal. You come in here and there's a lot going on. If you want to talk history of the company, Matt, JT, and Evan came together and the powerhouse in marketing with what JT and Matt had going on down in El Paso. And Evan came in, and there was some conversations there, and Evan had been roasting coffee. Evan's a total coffee nerd. A lot of people, I think, write him off as being a coffee nerd, but he is 100% into the coffee. And yeah, just over the last few years, it's been a wild ride watching everything kind of from the sidelines. I got pulled into it about 3 years ago full time with Black Rifle, and it's been pretty awesome. Personally, I've been doing coffee and tea for almost 10 years. I've been in the industry for quite a while. I started with tea and added coffee to a menu at one of my cafes and got really into it. My experience with coffee came in while racing bicycles. It was the magic juice in the morning before you get on the bike. It didn't matter if I was getting up for a training ride at 4 o'clock in the morning or if I was getting ready to race. There was a cup of coffee in my hand before I ever touched the bicycle. And through that realm, you meet a lot of people that race bicycles all over the world and have been exposed to coffee in different areas. And a couple of those guys that I raced with spent some time over in Italy and France and had some really cool coffee setups back then. This is like 2008, 2009. 2008, 2009, right around there. That's when I dove into coffee real heavy and got into it professionally around 2011, 2012, personally. I don't know. I feel like I'm in pretty good shape. I would say I consume a cup of coffee every day, at minimum 3 cups of coffee, and I think it's a cool beverage.
You mentioned cafes. Were you in the restaurant industry?
No, I wasn't necessarily in the restaurant industry. I got into bubble tea, the tea with the tapioca pearls.
Yep.
I opened my first store probably 2012. I hadn't nailed out a date. It would have been summer 2012. Did a mall store, actually, which really difficult space to enter, very expensive space to enter. But my ex-partner and I went all in and opened a bubble tea store in El Paso, Texas, in the mall, Sunland Park Mall, between a Subway and a Chick-fil-A. So there was some hitters next to us.
A little bit of smells coming your way.
Talk about beating on your chest.
Oh man, no, I'm not trying to do that. Yeah, it was fun. That was a great time.
I
had a
good
good
time.
Yeah, brought boba to El Paso. It's funny, I found boba when I was racing bicycles, and at the time I had a car wash that I would use to fund my bicycle racing, and I got tired of washing cars in the cold, and that's what spurred the what's next. And then I figured I could sell tea and bring this product I found to a new market and somehow have more time to race bicycles, which, as you guys know, anytime you get into business, if you're working 40 hours for somebody else and you go into business, you're working 80 hours for yourself minimum. And next thing I know, the bicycles were just collecting dust. But sold a lot of tea, sold a lot of coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was fun. And that's kind of where I learned the beverage industry, was on my own with that. Branched out, did some mobile stuff, built a custom trailer to serve the tea and coffee, then got into juice bars and gyms, did that for a while. And along that same time frame was when Matt and JT were spinning up Article 15 clothing, and that's when I met them for the first time, because they started that in my hometown, and actually linked up with them through a general aviation friend that knew Pilot X, and JT, Matt, and Ben Santiago, a couple other guys, did a cool video with my friend for one of his businesses, and my friend's like, you gotta meet these guys, dude, they're your age, they're super cool. And yeah, I remember showing up to Jared's house, and I mean, I grew up with my dad. He's a cop. He's a career cop, 34 years on the department this year, and he's still going.
Awesome.
Nice.
But when I walked into their house for the first time, I mean, they had some long rifles out and some other cool things out, and I hadn't really been immersed in the military side of things yet. And I walked in and a bunch of operators. I'm just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Like, you guys are pretty rad. And yeah, Jared and I hit it off as friends, and it's pretty rad to see.
Nice.
See what's happened with this whole thing.
I think one of the biggest things for me and why I'm such a fan of the brand that you guys have built is the initiatives behind it. Do you mind sharing some of that? Because I mean, some of that shit is so cool to me, that the way you guys give back and some of the things that you guys do, the initiatives outside of the brand.
Man, that's huge. It's a big component of the brand. A portion of the proceeds off all the sales of the coffee bags goes directly to first frontline personnel, if you will, military, LEO, EMS, firefighters, nurses even. We can, as early as COVID popping off in the hospitals, we saw the medical grid get pretty it got pretty busy, right? And a lot of people were working nonstop. And what we do is we have a campaign called Buy a Bag, Give a Bag. So we allow the consumer to vote on that, if you will. You get on, you buy a bag of coffee, and we pull a bag of coffee, and we earmark that for that initiative. So during the height of COVID, we were sending, for every bag that we sold, we were sending a bag out into the country to the hardest hit areas where nurses were going down and doctors were having a hard time. And it's actually really cool how we did that, because social media, like, you go back to social media, as nasty as social media has gotten lately, and people are giving it a bad name and the reputation it's got, it does a lot of good. Through social media, we're able to find hospitals and fire stations around the country that were in really big need of support. It's like, hey, get on, nominate a place, and tell us, as long as you can get us a contact and an address, we can drop that coffee. So that's what we do. Every few months we'll do a Buy a Bag, Give a Bag campaign, and we send coffee overseas to the boys and girls that are deployed out there. But we, 5-alarm fire, the 5-alarm coffee is kind of designated to firefighters, right? So there's portions of proceeds that go directly to the fire departments out there. And then the Thin Blue Line bag benefits law enforcement officers nationwide. And and not just that too, from a charitable giving approach too, we seek out like-minded organizations that are out there driving awareness on stuff like PTS and TBI studies and brain health, and getting the guys back on this never-ending war and getting them the support and funding they need to get better. And also more philanthropy too is like we're a couple weeks away from our second annual adaptive veteran athlete shoot, where we bring adaptive veterans into the sport of archery, get them outfitted with everything they need to go from the couch to the course, get them professional coaching. Guys like John Dudley come in and spend some of their time. They volunteer their time to teach these guys how to shoot. And
that's awesome.
So the giving back to the community, it's huge. Big reason why I like to be around is, man, I look at these guys and I say, in my 20s, I was running around trying to open tea stores and sell tea. You guys are running around getting shot at and shooting back, and you guys are deploying. You're not seeing your family and everything. And then, in my experience as an entrepreneur, I would sit with other business people, and a lot of times you'd hear this stuff where they want to stay away from hiring veterans. Like, veterans come with a problem. They're a problem employee, or they have a laundry list of medical needs, and it's expensive and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, we have that backwards if that's the mindset. Because there's no harder working group than veterans. Like, these dudes love everything. When you get them dialed and you get them on something that they're into, they'll outwork anybody.
Awesome.
I've seen it time and time again. And so it all goes back to giving back. You come into the office and most of the employees are veterans, and they're just so much fun to be around.
We see that with our own franchisees. Some of our best franchisees are veterans.
Very true.
And I think it's just because of it comes back to SOPs. They're so dialed in and following a system and procedure, and, just kind of ABCD. I mean, some of them are very, very good. Very good.
Edwin, our Q grader here at Black Rifle Coffee, Edwin Parnell, love that guy, longtime friend. I first met him somewhere around 2014 when we did the Drinkin' Bros Freedom Fest. I want to say it was 2014, and we did that in Denver, Colorado. And I came over with Art 15. He came over with Black Rifle Coffee, and the initial introduction was, he's a Green Beret. Give him a task, let him go. And man, you task him out with something and he'd go get it done and be like, what's next? What's next? What's next? I need more. I need more. And over the years of working together, you see that. And it's cool to be in this group because I'm not a veteran. I'm not a military guy. In fact, I lack discipline in many ways. But when you're around these guys and you see them and they're so focused and it's mission first, and what does it take to make sure the team's good? What does it take to get the mission done? It rubs off on guys like me, where you want to just be better. You want to be just like that. You want to excel. And it's so cool. Veterans are awesome.
So how many veterans are employed by BRCC? If you had to guess.
I couldn't give an actual number, but we're sitting around 55-60% of the employees right now are veterans.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, I can't be quoted on the numbers because it moves pretty quick, but I think we hired over 300 people last year.
Wow.
So,
nice.
Yep. There's a lot of different arms in the company that are going off right now. We've got the retail development side, which the franchise coffee shops are going to start opening up soon. The corporate stores that we're opening up are going to open up soon.
Which I'm interested in.
Yeah, no, they're super cool, man. I mean, we're taking the fight to the big dogs, and I mean, I think they slept on us, and it's too late for them. So
nice. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, I've seen online, and I think I've seen it a couple times, but when I go to look for it, I can't find too much info on it. So, and if you can't, that's fine. I understand that. But the franchise retail locations.
Are those going to be for veteran owned only, or is that the push behind those, or just depends?
There's definitely a big push on that to get veterans involved in the franchises. There's a considerable amount of experience necessary to operate a coffee shop.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what we've seen with our store that we opened down in San Antonio in October is it's busy. It's really busy. So when you have a shop that's as busy as what we're looking at, you definitely need a team that's experienced. And not to say there's not veterans out there that aren't experienced, but I'm not read in on the franchisees and the selection of it and everything like that. But there's an actual process to go through. You have to do some initial interviews and meetings to make sure that you fit the brand, and then you're not just coming in to try to make a buck off of it,
sure,
and that you're actually going to represent what the brand is. There's a culture here at Black Rifle Coffee, and we really want to keep that up.
Yeah.
Right now we're working on opening one in North Richland Hills, Texas, and another one in Clarksville, Tennessee. Those will open up pretty soon. And you've seen the shop inside of Nine Line out in Savannah, Georgia. I'm sure all over the internet. Matt Lyda does a great job with that one. We've got the shop down in Boerne, Texas. That one's pretty cool. And then you've also got the store that we opened in October, and that one's in San Antonio on Bitters Road. And we do hire a lot of vets for the coffee shops, and also mill spouses too. That's a big thing a lot of people don't take into consideration as well.
Good point.
But if we can get as many mill spouses in there as we can, then it's keeping in that ecosystem of taking care of the veterans. So, but yeah, if you have any questions about the franchises and stuff, I'm loosely read in on them. I don't keep a running tab. My lane here at the company is events. I do the event marketing. Official title's senior manager of events here. And that comes with a laundry list of tasks and duties and overview. Basically anything you see in public where we're activating at a special event is kind of, I'm the one that pulls the strings and then gets it done.
So,
Nice.
so talk to us a little bit about that. So obviously things shifted a lot during like COVID and everything. And you guys probably, like you said, you did a lot of outreach for places that needed, assistance and needed, coffee in the times that people were busy. What else did you guys do to pivot and adjust to still show presence? And that's something that we talk to, our people all the time is, it's not grassroots marketing, and getting out in your community is not completely dead. You just have to find where it fits in with the current climate. So what did you guys kind of do, and what are your thoughts behind what you're still doing right now?
Lots of guerrilla marketing efforts last year, just being real surgical with where we went and how we did it. Trying to run around the country and find different areas with different COVID policies and go around it and the workarounds, and keeping everybody safe on the team, keeping the company safe. We did a lot of shipping coffee to people that were doing small events. Like, hey, here's the kit. Here's what you need to display. Here's the coffee. Get it in front of your people. In a lot of stuff like that is what we did in 2020. In the beginning of the year, in the early stages of the pandemic kicking off, we had done an initiative down in San Antonio where we joined forces with a local food truck builder out there, and we sent the LMTV on site, and they were feeding, I think they were doing 250 to 500 meals a day for first responders. Anybody in uniform could come up and get a hot meal. And we put the truck right there with it, and we were handing them our new cans of coffee, the ready to drink, the RTDs, as well as the bags of coffee. And we were serving hot coffee as well. So things like that we did get it going. If groups were getting together, and they would reach out, and hey, we've got some veterans coming out, we've got some law enforcement, we would send coffee, explain how to brew it, send them the tools and equipment they needed to brew it. We didn't really do a big manned approach last year just because we didn't want to risk the COVID. I personally haven't tested positive for COVID. I've had my brain tickled like probably 10 times now. But I know a lot of our guys did get sick, and we were doing our best not to put people out there that could possibly get sick. And
then fast forward to today, like you were in Florida, so you guys are kind of attacking places that are opening back up and are safe to bring your crew in and everything.
Yeah. So when you look at what's going on in the country right now, there's a lot of places that don't let gatherings happen. They shut them down. They send out the health task forces, whatever. I've been threatened to be fined multiple times in different areas of the country, and it's laughable. But there are people taking it very serious. So you have to figure it out. Like, you don't want to put the brand in a position where it looks like we don't care and we're not empathetic to what's going on, but we also have to drive awareness on the ground. So when you look at Florida, you've got a governor there that's like, hey, we're open for business. Texas.
Dude was at Bike Week last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did do Bike Week, and I'll tell you what, it was interesting. I was at Daytona 500 as well. Daytona 500, not very busy on the ground. Bike Week, Daytona was a completely different animal. Driving that LMTV around with bikes everywhere. I've done Sturgis a few times with that truck, so I'm comfortable driving the monster truck around the tiny bikes. But Daytona, it's tiny, it's compressed, and if you were out there on the ground, you'd look around and you wouldn't know there was a virus other than the hand sanitizer everywhere. Going to some places and they scream at you to put a mask on. I got yelled at 2 days ago walking into a frozen yogurt shop. I'm like, you don't have to yell. You could be calm about it. It's cool. But Florida is pretty much open for business. We've done quite a few events in Florida this year. Some stuff that was filmed for TV, and there's COVID testing when you get on set, and you have to do some protocols. The NHRA is doing a great job on their protocols. You got to get a forehead scan before you can even get into the venue. Which I had a thought today while I was boarding an airplane where, like, man, they tell you that they're going to block the middle seats. They tell you you're going to be safe, but there's no temperature scanning at the airport. But on these large format events, as they try to bring them on, the government's saying, hey, you have to make sure people aren't coming in with a fever. But that doesn't apply for the airport. It doesn't apply for the big box stores. And you're just kind of like,
yeah.
I don't want to go down that wormhole of hypocrisy, because the hypocrisy and all of it is just comical.
It's so bad.
I mean, we're getting ready to go to Austin next week on a business trip. We're going down there to see some project management guys that we work with, and my expectations of this trip, I don't really know what to think about it yet, because I've heard contradicting things of what they're doing down there. Like Texas is wide open. They don't have any COVID restrictions anymore, but the city of Austin is very different. It's kind of very liberal and a young, hip town, and I've heard from people that live there, even friends outside of business, that are like, hey man, they're still taking it seriously, and you're still going to have to bring a mask, and you might go to places where you have to wear one, which is fine. I mean, if we have to do it, we have to do it, but I don't know. It's going to be different. It's going to be weird kind of being like in that in-between phase where you have to do it some places and you don't have to do it at others. It's going to be weird.
Austin. I was in Austin with JT and Evan. We went and did a rally school out there with Vermont Sports Car and Rally Ready. And that was, I think, end of February, middle of February, probably right around Valentine's Day or something like that. But we went out there, and this was before they lifted the ban on that, or the mask mandate, blah, 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 whatever. And it was that feel, like, it depends where you're at. It depends on what restaurant you're going into or what area you're hanging out in. Some people are super serious and they're going to scream at you and make a big fuss about it. And then other places, it's Texas, and they're like, yo, this is Texas. Like, we're not afraid of this. We're not scared. We're not going to quit living because we might get sick. Like, every day you have that risk. I don't think people realize that. Like, there's a lot of people scared. And when you go to Austin, even though the governor lifted the mask mandate, I still bet you're going to find the businesses that are like, you have to wear a mask to come in here. And I mean, I guess that's the part of a free society that you have to deal with. There's no shirt, no service. Every business, it's a prerogative what they want to do. So you'll have to keep me posted on what happens when you guys are there.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk some coffee, man. I mean,
yeah, let's get into that talk.
Coffee is You know, there's a lot to learn. It's kind of like tequila. It's kind of like bourbon. I mean, it's kind of like a couple other cultural things like this. And I was actually thinking about this morning, and don't shoot me, man. Don't pin me against the wall, but we've been staying out at my farm because our house is under remodel, and I drank some Folgers black silk coffee this morning, man. And as I'm
Black
taking
silk.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm no bougie, right? So
Bougie.
So as I'm taking what'd you say?
I was gonna say, I think they knocked off some of our branding on the bags these days with their new flat black, or their flat. They have matte bags now, and they're flat bottom bags.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go there though.
So I get in the cabinet, and my wife had just brought it home last night, and I'm pulling the cap off today, and I'm pulling the label back, and I'm like, I thought about this podcast we're doing. I'm like, I'm getting ready to do this podcast later this afternoon, and here I am. I'm cracking open a bottle of $8 Folgers black silk coffee. So I mean, and it kind of did. It made me think of some questions that I wanted to ask you today. So, you know, a history lesson on coffee, and one of my things that I have here to ask you is, what do these big manufacturers do that is so different from companies like yours, where you can literally taste the difference in the coffee? You know what I mean? It's just it's a cleaner taste. I mean,
flavors.
I've had just about all of them, and you know, I mean, a Kona blend coffee is probably the best that I personally have ever had, and I say that I'm not going to be a coffee connoisseur, so to speak, but I've drank a lot of fucking coffee in my 42 years.
You're
of
talking
life.
like store bought, like Costco,
right?
roast heater.
So like these big coffee manufacturers, it's just mass produced. But you know, what is the difference between these guys and coffee beans and a better quality product? I guess I'm going to assume that I'm going to say that of what you guys do.
One of the big things you have to look at is the green coffee and where you're sourcing it from. I can only speculate on what they do with those bigger coffee companies. You know, I've never actually been in one of the big facilities. I've been in some relatively large roasting facilities. None of the big household names that you see. But we work with specialty grade coffees. So the green coffee itself is sourced. It's a high quality coffee bean. You know, if it's under a certain score, we're not going to touch it. And that's just going to help make sure we deliver a really good cup of coffee every time, or a coffee bean that's roasted perfectly. And we have a Q grader on staff, like I said, Edwin. So he goes through and, you know, he roasts. He's certified to grade coffee. Coffee's graded on a number scale. You know, you can pick up almost 800 different aromas and flavors out of coffee. So it's pretty extensive. And to get your Q grader certificate, it's pretty big. That's not to say these bigger roasting companies don't have that in-house, but I would suspect that as you get to a certain size, and I say this, you know, we're growing obviously, and we're getting pretty big in our coffee roasting and what we're capable of doing. But a lot of these major companies, they roast to a specific color, and they blend the coffee that they get together to deliver something that tastes very similar every single time you pop that open. I don't think you're going to be able to find whole bean coffee in some of these larger formats like Maxwell or Folgers or something like that. I don't know if I've ever seen a bag of whole bean Folgers. And, you know, once you grind coffee, you oxidize it and pretty much kill it right away. There's not a whole lot of shelf life to it. It's going to taste the same. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, pretty much not going to change it. It's going to get worse as the time goes on, but it's all about keeping oxygen out of there. So again, I can only speculate what they do, but the reason our coffee is so good is we work with specialty grade coffees from cool farms and growers.
Nice. Talk about the numbered scale, since that's what I was going to ask you about too. You said it's graded on a numbered scale.
The beans and everything.
Yeah. So technically specialty grade coffee, and man, 86 points generally is what denotes a specialty grade coffee. You know, 86 points or higher gives you a good cup or a good coffee bean to start with. You can take a good coffee bean and destroy it in a roaster if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, they grade it based on the lot where it's grown, the region it's grown, the density of the bean, the color of the bean, the moisture content of the bean. There's multiple things that go into it. And it's not really my specialty knowing that anymore. There was a time when I could nerd out really hard on coffee, but there's only so much bandwidth I have these days. So if you don't brush up on those skills, you lose them pretty quick. But that being said, specialty is predominantly a small batch type of coffee, because the farmers in the States can only produce so much of this same bean, and then you have to get into a mix where single origin means it comes from the same place, the same farm, the same lot of coffee, and then you get into other coffees where they're blending different lots of the same bean together, so technically not single origin stuff. But I don't know if that answers that question per se.
No, yeah, a little bit. I mean, you said you didn't nerd out on it, but I mean, I think I was impressed. I mean, we met you at Winter Strong. That's where we made this connection. And I know one of the mornings that I came up to the tent, you were doing the whole pour over demonstration. And I had never, I mean, I've seen people do pour overs. I've seen them do the little, kits you can buy in the store.
Quickie pour over.
Yeah. But I mean, you guys and the setup that you guys have is phenomenal, and it just looks cool as hell. But, you sat there and you explained it to me. And I remember thinking, as you're doing that, I'm sitting there listening to your demonstration and all the intricacies that go into it. And I'm like, I think it was last year, I had the idea of doing like a Clean Eats branded coffee, not to get into the coffee space, but it was just something that I wanted on our retail shelves for an ancillary item for our customers that come in and pick up meals and, just to have a bag. But I had no connection to coffee. I didn't know anything about it. And the reason that I didn't do that is because I didn't know any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to put our label on something that I didn't have any connection to. It wasn't really, I love coffee. I love to drink it, but I didn't know the first fucking thing about it. So I'm like, I don't want to call up Joe's Coffee online or whatever. I think that actually is the company that I talked to, was Joe's Coffee, ironically. And they did their whole spiel with me, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. It's going to look terrible. It might taste terrible. I don't know anything whether the beans are good quality, bad quality. So I don't know, man. When I met you guys at Winter Strong and you were going through that, I just thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, you got to be careful when you get into those white labels or joint venture coffee deals, because again, you could get a coffee that's excellent, or you could get a coffee that's really bad. And you get a guy like me that I like to step out of the norm, and I like to go after exotic coffees, and I'll try multiple roasters all the time. And there's a lot of dropship options out there, and if you want to expand your coffee palette, it's out there. And for example, I got into Gesha coffees for a while, which are some really high-end coffee beans, and it's just a variety, and there's different things that go into it, different phenotypes of plants, if you will. There's different characteristics in how it's grown, and you can get into it where you're paying $80 for like a 100-gram tin of coffee, which is going to brew you 4 batches of coffee. And when you order something like that and you get it and it's disgusting, and this company's putting their name on that, and you're like, man, I'm never going to buy something from them again. Like, right. I feel like I just got robbed. I actually ordered 2 of the same type, but 2 different processed coffees. And I was like, when your coffee tastes like rubber, it could very well go back to where the coffee's grown. The roaster can probably pull that flavor out if they pick it up early enough in their tasting, but rubber's a hard flavor to get out of coffee if it's there, and it's not good to drink. You don't want to drink a cup of rubber.
Yeah,
but when you look at that, you got to be careful. A lot of people out there will be real in a big hurry to slap their name on something just to put it on the shelf. And it's a good thing you didn't go that route.
I think one of the biggest fascinations for me, and when you were doing that demonstration, was I had never tasted like a fresh pour over cup of coffee. Yeah. Just the difference in that was mind-boggling to me.
So your Chemex or any pour over is a deconstructed drip brewer, right? It's a manually operated brewer. So you get to control the variables. You get to control the temperature of the vessel you're brewing. You get to control the temperature of the water. You get to control the grind of the coffee. You get to control everything. And when you're trying to make the perfect cup of coffee every day, if you can control all those variables, then you're going to deliver yourself a perfect cup. And I think the manual brewing, it's cool because it takes just as long as a drip brewer would to say brew a 12-cup batch of coffee or pot of coffee. Only you have to think about the process a little bit more than I'm going to open the tub, I'm going to scoop a very ambiguous measurement of a scoop. Every scoop's a different size into my coffee, and then the more I put in there, the better it's going to be. And it's like, well, no, not necessarily. And so you can go down a crazy rabbit hole of how to brew your coffee, but you get into the Chemex or you get into a pour over and You're measuring out the dose of coffee. You're measuring out how much water is hitting it, and then you're timing it on your own, and you're introducing the water on your own. And I'm making the movements because I'm going through it in my head right now. But it's cool. I call it a morning meditation. You get a Chemex brewer, and in the morning, I have a Wi-Fi enabled or Bluetooth enabled kettle. So as soon as I wake up, I fill it up at night. So my coffee brewing process starts at night. I fill my kettle in the nighttime. I get up in the morning, I hit my phone. I'm like, all right, I'm checking down stuff. I'll go in, I'll turn it on, make sure it's going to be at temperature when I walk downstairs, and then pull the scale out, grab the grinder, grab the beans, pour the beans in. You get all of it. You get the smell, and something like 85% of the stimulation coming off coffee is olfactory. It's from when you smell it. It starts waking you up. So you grind your coffee fresh, put it in that whatever method you're going to use to brew. And then the moment the water first hits it too, and you get the bloom, that's when you get the best fragrance and aromas off of it. It's like, man, it makes you get set up for the day. So that is a really good way to try coffee. If you want to try the coffee as the roaster intended, you do coffee with a pour over. All right. I'm very partial to Chemex.
I got a question for you. So you asked us a question at Winter Strong, and you were like, "How's everybody brew their coffee?" And obviously, you have a bunch of like guys out there. People are like, dump approach in the pour over. People are like Keurig, and I was like, oh shit, that's me, Keurig, half the time. So, and now we're drinking Black Rifle coffee, Keurig pods. So, not a big shot at Keurig, but if you had to go in your reverse order, what would you say if a pour over Chemex was like your favorite way to brew a cup of coffee? I want to hear like reverse order all the way down to like the hotel, like single bag or whatever it might be. Give me your reverse order of brewing coffee.
Those frac packs. So I will never brew a cup of coffee in a hotel coffee brewer. We
can start from the bottom and work our way up if you want to.
Yeah. So I've put that below the Keurig, and then the Keurig would be my least favorite. You just can't get a good cup out of a Keurig. Not to say it's not, palatable for people. You get an okay cup if you're in a hurry and that's your only source, then that's what it is. Like that's what you know. But for me personally, personal taste, Keurigs, not a fan at all. I used to be really big into Keurigs. When Keurig first started popping off, I was like, this is great. I can just hit a button and I get a hot cup of coffee and I get on my bicycle. I can cut my morning time down. No. So Keurig, probably the lowest for me would be Keurig. And then those frac packs in a normal brewer situation, which are the bags that are pre-ground, pre-bagged, right. That'll probably be the next one. And then from that, I'd probably go to instant coffee right after that. And then after instant coffee, I was real big on the French press for a long time. That's what I used. That was the easy button. I could grind coffee in my van and fire up my generator, heat the water, and have coffee right before I race bicycles. And the French press was the way to go. So then I'd have to say French press. Probably for me, espresso would be next. I love a good shot of espresso, but of course it takes a pretty decent machine to get a good shot. And then from the espresso, I'd step into an Aeropress. And then from the Aeropress, I'd go to pour over, probably in that order.
Jeez. All right, not bad.
Where's the cold brew on this list? I got to know that.
I'm not a big cold brew fan. Personally, I drank a lot of cold brew when cold brew became the rage. Brewed a lot of it, used pretty much every cold brew method there is out there, which it's super simple, really. If you want to make cold brew, you can just throw a bunch of coffee into a milk jug with water and stick it in the fridge and filter it out when you need it. But I don't really personally go to cold brew very often. If it's hot out and I want to hydrate, I'm going to drink cold water. I don't go to coffee for hydration personally. But if you have stomach issues, you can't handle the acidity, or there's some stuff going on there, cold brew tends to help people out quite a bit with that.
So let me walk you through my morning routine, and then you can be like, bro, you need to step it up a little bit, or yeah, you're doing good, which maybe I think I fall right in between. But I mean, I'm a Cuisinart kind of guy. I mean, I have a Cuisinart coffee pot, and I have my own little bean grinder, and usually I'll buy, the 1.5, 2 pound bags of coffee beans, and that's like my morning routine. I get up every day, put the beans in the grinder, grind it, put it in there, and then here's the difference though, and I have to ask this. Does it make me a pussy if I'm like a creamer queen? I love
No,
creamer.
not at all.
I mean,
Look, man.
Yes.
Paul's like wink, wink. Uh-huh.
You get it. You get into that all you want, man. But hey, I don't care if I'm drinking a 15, 20-year-old scotch and I want to put a drop of water in it. I don't care what other people are going to think about that personally. I'm like, look, man, I'm the one consuming it. And if my palate likes it this way, that's how I like it. If you like your coffee with cream, cool. If you like it with sugar, cool, man. You do you. Now, if you're doing cream with a touch of sugar, then I might look at, or cream with a touch of coffee in it, and it's mostly cream. Then it's like, come on, what are you doing?
No.
You know.
But he does like the snickerdoodle.
Yeah,
special
God.
release.
Come
He's
on.
a sucker. He's
I
like,
mean, hey.
he's a kid in a candy store when it comes to
My wife and I, we are creamer, like bougie. Like we have all the different flavors. I think yesterday she stopped by the grocery store just to get like 2 or 3 things that we needed to eat. 4 bottles of creamer. We got the peppermint mocha. We got the Bailey's Irish Cream. We got the what was it? The caramel macchiato, and then there was one other one. 4 creamer bottles on a short little trip to the grocery store. So that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Now, how long will those last you?
oh man, weeks, like long time. Like,
Okay.
it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio for me. So it's like,
Okay.
but I'll drink. We'll go through a whole pot of coffee every morning before we leave the house.
Does every cup you pour get cream in it?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't start heavy and then taper down to
No,
black?
no, sir. So it's like, and then every, so I had to even wean myself back off of the sweetener. So we use stevia packets. So every cup of coffee, I put a little stevia packet in there and pour the cream in, then pour my coffee over it.
So the question is, does Don really like coffee, or does he like
No.
sweetened
Or do you
creamer?
like cream? Yeah. Caffeinated cream.
I mean, it doesn't look like chocolate milk, but it's a little lighter than a black cup of coffee.
You have to send me a picture so I can judge you real hard.
Oh, there we go. It's fantastic.
I'm a big fan of butter coffee in the morning, and I don't like to give it that trademark name. I don't buy into that name.
You're talking like the
but I do
keto, like the keto butter.
Yeah,
butter coffee?
keto coffee, if you will. Keto coffee. Yeah, let's call it that. I love doing a tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of coconut oil. I hit it with a little bit of a cinnamon powder, and I'll even take it a step further and do the cacao powder. I don't know. Everybody pronounces it different. It's cocoa with an A. And I blend that up in a blender, and it comes out real frothy and nice. I don't know if you guys have ever gone down that rabbit hole. But man, if I can do one of those in the morning, every morning, there's like 300 grams or 300 calories in a cup of that. I forget the breakdown of the fats and everything, but that's good brain fuel in the morning.
We have a lot of people around us that do like the protein coffee, like put a scoop of protein powder in coffee. And I tried that, and I was just like, I just felt like it was just so thick. I was like, this is not coffee to me. This is just like hot protein shake.
Listen, man, I'm here to tell
Somebody
you
likes the hot protein.
the last thing that my belly needs
His coffee and protein
is a
together.
butter stick in my coffee. I mean, the first little sip, and I'm on the toilet. Like my routine is 1 cup, poop, 2 cup, 3 cup, poop, and then I'm out the door to go to work.
That's the one thing I've noticed is different. I haven't quit coffee permanently. I'm just on a slight little break to see what my body thinks. And that's the one thing my body doesn't like. It's like, man, I was super regular. Now I don't even know when it's going to hit. I'm like, oh, when is this shit going to hit? When's it going to go? When's it going to go? It's weird. And now I'm going like a day. I'm like, man, I really think I need to lean back on coffee soon because it's not comfortable.
I used to dip all day. Now it's only if I'm having a drink or like in the evenings, if we eat a big meal for dinner, I'll have a dip before I go to bed. But man, in those mornings when I would have 3 cups of coffee and a dip before I left for work, boom, it was on. You want to get a turd moving, put a dip in your mouth.
Back in the bike racing days, that's one of those things. I knew if I hit my coffee at a certain point, I'd be emptying my bowels, 30 minutes till the race time, some lightest possible weight I can be. Yeah, coffee does help with that. That's for damn sure. I can verify. The butter coffee though, it takes about a week to grease up. You get greased up and then your body's like, cool. We're doing this now. Cool.
There you go, Don.
I just can't get down with that.
Should Don do an experiment? Less cream, more butter. What do you think,
I
Scott?
think you should.
I think
Try
it needs
it.
to go espresso. I think that's next.
So espresso actually does the opposite. Like espresso, like will give me the shits.
Really?
Like, and those RTDs, by the way, man, those are fucking stupid good.
Yeah, those are awesome.
Oh man, so
Like,
good.
I had to
So
debate
good.
whether we were going to have bourbon on the show today or whether I was going to drink an espresso, and I'm like, man, I'm going to be at espresso at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I won't sleep if I do that. Bourbon, at least by the time I get home.
So I got an espresso machine for Christmas from my mother-in-law, and I'm just learning like how to use it in the last few months. Give me some pointers on what do I need to be looking at to do with my espresso.
Time, temperature, and temp. All three big keys for success in espresso. So the time it takes you to grind the coffee and get it over to the machine and to pull the shot is one little tile you got. And then you've got the temperature of the water hitting the espresso and the temperature of the portafilter. So you always want to have a hot portafilter. You always want to let that machine heat up that portafilter. And then, of course, the temperature of the beans when they grind. So see, those are the big variables in coffee. You don't want to change the temperature too much. So like a spinny blade grinder is going to heat up your coffee pretty quick because it's adding so much friction in there. A conical burr grinder is going to crush those coffee beans in a slow RPM, so it's not going to heat them up, and you're going to get a real nice fine powder out of a conical burr that you can't get from a blade grinder. And then, yeah, the time that it takes to pull the water through the espresso.
What did you call
it?
I'm sorry. What did you call it?
Conical burr grinders. Yeah.
I'm gonna write
Burr
this down.
grinders.
You know why he said that, right, Paul?
Tidbit.
Paul, you know why he said that, right?
Does he have a spin grinder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I figured when you said I grind my coffee. Look, man. The very first time that there was coffee brewed in Jared Taylor's house, it was with a spinny grinder. So don't feel bad. You know, we all grow. The temp. So you got to put 35 pounds of pressure. 35 pounds a square inch, whatever you want to say, 35 on it. But to press that coffee into the portafilter and smash it together and get a nice puck for the water to go through. And then when you're brewing your espresso, you can look at what you're doing. If you take the portafilter out and you look at the puck, you'll see if there's channels in there where the water's running through. And
so if there's water sitting on top after you finish, did you not pack it enough? Is that what I'm...
Not necessarily. Muddy pucks happen. And it could be a number of things. The grind could be too fine, so your water's not pooling all the way through. It could be too coarse. Water's just pooling on it. Actually, if it's too coarse, water's going to run right through it. But usually you'll find that the grind is too fine. You're not getting enough bars of pressure to push the water all the way through the puck. A really dialed espresso shot's the puck's going to come out looking kind of saturated, but not soggy.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I know I can tell like when you like smack it and empty it, does it look proper or does it look like mush? So yeah, and it doesn't taste as good.
That's
It looks
what
like
she
mush.
said.
Yeah.
Is it compacted or is it mush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to break my balls over cream, and you're sitting here talking about a espresso and does my water holes look right?
Yeah, but like he did say that espresso is like higher up on his list of what he prefers.
It is.
So.
It is. And I don't put cream in my coffee unless it's butter. So like that's another thing personally.
But like you, again, maybe if Don got into doing a pour over, he might like those flavors. Cause like that one that you gave us at like Winter Strong, there was so much more flavor in that than a standard, than even the one that we had in the big urns and everything like that. Like the flavor was completely different.
We were drinking, what did I have out there? I think I had Midnight Rider, which was an Ethiopian, was it a Guji? I think it was an Ethiopian Guji coffee, which is a really good
It was a crazy
coffee.
Logo, the bag. Yeah, it's the Midnight Rider.
Yeah, Tactus Squatch on top of Flying Elk.
Yeah.
Really good. The one we had brewing in the vats was it was either JB, which is our core medium roast, or
and then one was the extra caffeinated one.
Silencer.
Yes.
Silencer was one of them. That's what I drink every morning.
I think we cycled through a few different ones each day. But you taste the difference too, because like a percolated coffee, the coffee's brewing and the water that's going right back through the coffee is already percolated coffee, right? So water spurts out of the top, goes through the grinds, hits the vat, spurts back up. So you're constantly reintroducing that water back. And as you add dissolved solids in the coffee to the water is getting harder. And There's different temperatures going on. So your percolated coffee, it's good camping coffee. And I think it makes a real full-bodied cup because there's so much sediment that's pulled into that. Whereas your Chemex, the filter system on a Chemex, those filters are great, proprietary filters by Chemex. They pull out a lot of that sediment. So you're getting a real light, medium-bodied cup of coffee that doesn't have a whole lot of sediment in it. And it lets the flavors dance around on your tongue a little bit better. So you pick up all the notes the roaster intends. Whereas you brew in a percolator, you're going to get more of the traditional coffee notes that you expect. But I bet if you got on a Chemex, you'd probably wean yourself off of cream real quick.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That peppermint mocha, baby. That's like Christmas every morning.
Yeah. Use a peppermint, get a peppermint candy cane and just stir your black coffee with that if you like the flavor. Or grab the syrups that are flavored, which every coffee shop in America uses, and get a high grade syrup. I like Monin quite a bit. That's a good one. You get some of those, and you could put a half pump of that into your black coffee if you desire the flavor. I just say with the cream, it's so heavy, man. I don't want to go down the health rabbit hole of cream and stuff in coffee because I don't know anything about it. But if you wanted to just boost your coffee, I would go with a flavored syrup.
The other issue that I have is patience. I don't think I have the patience to sit there and do a pour over every day.
Yeah, but you wake up early.
I'm just like, man,
you are an early riser.
I am, but I just want to grind my beans, put it in there, and I want a pot of coffee in minutes because I'm going to drink that whole son of a bitch. Like, I'm like 3 cups to my wife's 1. Like, Yvonne will bitch at me sometimes. She'll be like, "You're drinking all the coffee." And I'm like, well, big dude. I drink a lot of coffee.
So we can get you a Bluetooth kettle. Can we get a Bluetooth grinder?
Man, I think we can get. We'd have to get Tony Stark in on that. Find out what Iron Man's got going on. I don't know if a Bluetooth grinder exists.
But he could set it all up the night before, except for the grind, pretty much, right?
Yeah, you preload at night. Just get it ready.
Well, after what I've learned on the show today, I used to thinking I was a badass. I'm like, I'm gonna get ahead of myself. I'm going to grind these beans tonight, put them in the coffee machine, and then turn the timer on. But now that I know what I know now, I ain't doing that no more.
I mean, you could do that. You're not going to kill the coffee overnight. I mean, it's still going to be pretty tasty. Now, do you store your beans in the freezer?
I do not.
Do not either.
Okay, good. Yeah, good. The reason you don't want to do that, anybody listening, is every single time you pull those beans out of the freezer, you're introducing moisture into the bag. Whatever liquid is in there is freezing, and then it's thawing, and then you're freezing it and thawing it again. And by the time the 4th time you take it out of the freezer and put it back in, you've introduced quite a bit of moisture.
What's the rule of thumb on the shelf life? Like a bag of Black Rifle that we have, like once we open that, what's the shelf life? And I think so the Black Rifle has like pre-grounded coffee and beans, right? Mm-hmm. So is there a difference in the two, like shelf life?
Yeah, your whole bean's going to retain that maximum freshness a little bit longer. You're going to get, 3 to 6 months of good freshness out of the whole bean. If you don't open the bag, once you open the bag and you introduce oxygen.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, really a month and a half on whole bean, about 2 weeks on the ground coffee for optimum flavor. That's not to say it's going to be bad, but for that optimal peak flavor that we're going after, once you open the bag, about 2 weeks of time is ticking before you're going to start to taste a slight difference. I don't think it'll be bad though. I consume about 2 bags of coffee a week when I'm on coffee. So I don't ever really sit it around long enough to really get into how different it tastes down the road. But the rule of thumb,
yeah.
I mean, it's super stable. As long as you store it properly, it's a very stable commodity that can stay in the cupboard for as long as you want. It's not going to make you sick or anything like that. It's not going to go bad. You're just not going to have optimum peak freshness and flavor.
I got 2 questions left. First one, Kona Coffee. You guys don't do a Kona blend, do you?
We did a Kona blend. What was it? Oh, man. We did a Kona blend in our ECS a few months ago. It wasn't Lava Panther. That was Guatemalan. What was the... I don't know. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now.
So good.
But that,
so good.
If I drink a cup of Kona coffee, that is like my favorite. And I can drink that black with no creamer. That's...
We had some Danny Bolton's coffee out there that I was brewing up too, in small batches. He had some Kona Reserve 100% Kona, which fun thing about Kona Coffee is when you really dive into it and you look at the bags and you're like, oh, it's 10% Kona blended with 90% Arabica, Colombian, or whatever else they want to say. A lot of times they don't even say the origin in those big batch roasting things where they're like Arabica beans, which is okay, cool. So, all right. You don't really know the origin, but Kona, it's one of the least producing coffee growing areas in the world. Very, very little bit of coffee comes out of there, and that's what drives the price. It's a very exquisite coffee. I think Kona tastes pretty good. It's definitely worth the price. It's just, for us to get involved in Kona and the amount of coffee we're putting out and stuff, that's a lot of coffee. Sure. So I don't know what's in the pipeline. I don't know how much Kona we have coming up, but that's good taste, man. It's good bean. 100% Kona coffee is phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to Southwest Idaho in November on an elk hunting trip. And I got to get one of those jet boils. And I know you guys do the little packs that go in a jet boil, but these guys that are going on this elk hunt, if they listen to this podcast, they're going to be like, you fucking pussy. Like, how do I keep the same standard of coffee in the middle of the mountains with a jet boil?
Without cream.
Cream.
I think the coffee you're going to brew in the mountains will be better than the coffee you're brewing at home because you're in the mountains and you're brewing coffee. That's
touche.
So, man, it's super easy. You get whatever boiling mechanism you want to use, whether it's a jet boil or an MSR stove, whatever it is. Bottled water, big thing. Make sure it's spring water. Always use spring water if you guys don't want to dive into water hardness and softness. But spring water is great. And then we offer the instant coffee packs, which is a quick and easy solution. We also have the frac packs. Literally, you pour hot water over a steeping bag for 3-4 minutes. You have a nice cup of coffee. It is Colombian coffee too, so it's good. But we have collapsible pour over options. So if you really want to get into it, I would recommend you learn pour overs before you're on the mountain. But a French press in the wild, if you could find a plastic one instead of a glass one, so you're not breaking it. An Aeropress in the mountains. Are you packing in? Are you driving in? Are you
packing in?
Oh, well, yeah, you're hunting, right? So Aeropresses travel really well, and there's not a whole lot that goes into it. You can pre-grind your coffee at home. I like to pre-grind my coffee. I wish I had an I have one. I have my long range bag. Hang on just a second.
See?
So if I'm going out, pretty cool. So this is what I travel with. Like my suitcase is right there. It fits really nice. And in here, I mean, this is the hunter's dream right here. I've got the steeping packs, literally tiny bag, fits in a backpack really nice. I've got a cup, of course. I got a bag of coffee in here. Good old Lava Panther. And here's the Aeropress, which is an inversion brewer or immersion brewer. So this thing can fit in a backpack real easily. You can take your filters, which I got here in a Ziploc, and you can stuff those right in here. Now you're going to work with like 16 grams of coffee in this, and you can pre-dose that at home into a Ziploc baggies, and you can stuff, 4 days worth of coffee into there, and it all packs like that. And then all you need is your boiler. And the way this works is you would bring it out to here, just like that. Coffee goes in here. There's numbers, so you don't even need a scale in the wild. You take your coffee grinds to there, then you add your water, and you take your water all the way up to here. Lid goes on. Then you press out the air, and then you just flip this right up on a cup like that, and then you're brewing. You just give it a minute and 30 seconds, and you would slowly press this plunger down, and you're dialed.
After you boil the water?
Yep, after you boil the water. You wouldn't boil the water with it in the coffee or the coffee in the water. Yep. I think my AirPods are checking out. Hang on a second.
I missed you guys for just a quick second there. The AirPods, I traveled today and they didn't charge up, I guess. Right?
No, you're good. I was just saying that was pretty slick. That was awesome.
But yeah, also in this pack, and this is what I travel with. This goes to me. This is why I say I don't brew hotel coffee, because I'm always traveling with a coffee kit. I have the collapsible pour over device. I'm sorry to throw this on your show like this, but this is how slim it is.
Great.
This is an entire pour over. So I can construct this.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Looks like playing cards.
And actually, when I was out ice fishing or spearing fish up in South Dakota, I was brewing with one of these multiple times. So this is a collapsible pour over that we offer. That pack's really nice. It sits on top of the cup. You brew 1 cup of coffee, and that's pretty dope right there, if you ask me. But also in these bags, and we, Evan works really hard on designing these bags to be very effective for a coffee connoisseur that wants to travel, but got a hand grinder. So you got travel whole bean, travel grinder. This goes everywhere with me, everywhere.
Just depends how much does Don want to be made fun of the first morning when he pulls that out, and they're like, "Wow."
Listen, man, if I pull anything out other than a jet boil in one of those coffee packs and pour hot water over it, they're gonna break my balls over it. But that's okay. I don't care. I mean, I have my coffee.
They will only do it up until you guys, until you taste the coffee, and as soon as they taste the coffee, they're like, "Man, you're like, this is legendary coffee."
Good point.
Yeah. Well, Paul, man, thank you for the time, dude. This was awesome. I had a good time.
Absolutely. Has it been an hour? Wow, it has. Look at that. Very cool.
Time flies when you're all hyped up on not on coffee, just talking about coffee.
No, man, I appreciate it, and you guys are doing some really cool shit. And I mean, I'm gonna get a hold of you offline about the Black Rifle Coffee franchises. I'm really interested in that, and then some other initiative ideas that I've had to kind of pick your brain on for Clean Eats and some stuff that we wanted to do. So I appreciate it, man. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, hit me up anytime. And anybody that's interested, Instagram is Black Rifle Coffee, obviously. Personally, Paul E 915. I share a lot of coffee stuff, and I'm pretty interactive with people on there. So
nice.
Anytime you guys want to have a coffee conversation, or you guys want to have a cup of coffee, just holler.
Awesome, man.
Love it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right.
Take care.
Get some rest, man.
I'll try.
All right.